What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. It is NLDS week, and today I'm joined by RotoWire senior editor Jeff Erickson. Jeff, we appreciate you joining us here to preview the Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks. Give me a pulse on yourself. MLB playoffs, are we fired up? I mean, I know your Reds unfortunately didn't make it, but how are we feeling?
Yeah, good to make it to the penultimate day of this regular season there. So I can't complain about that. Nice to have meaningful September baseball, but I'm looking forward someday to having meaningful October baseball. Dodger fans are spoiled that they get this every single year. I know their tension level rises and all that, but at the same time, I mean, hey, it's exciting. It's here. Let's go. I was disappointed in the wild card round that we didn't get one 3-game series.
Crazy.
Really disappointed in the no-show by the Rays. Although I understand why. They lost their top 3 starting pitchers. They lost Brandon Lau before the playoffs started. But they do have to ask hard questions of why it didn't work out so well. And I think the answer is pretty evident that when you're a team on a shoestring budget, and you're very good at what you do, you can beat up on the bad teams in baseball, but it's tough in the playoffs. And that they've run into that problem 2 years running now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. The fact that we didn't get a single 3-game series was just bizarre. And as much as you'd like to think it was an advantage to skip the wild card, obviously it is because you advance automatically to the NLDS. But the Diamondbacks coming in to play the Dodgers are not impacted by rest at all because they had a few days off in between series. They pretty much line up their starting pitching exactly as they would have wanted.
Yeah.
Big picture for you as you look at this. I mean, we've said on our show, we're not discounting the Diamondbacks, and we're definitely not just penciling in the Dodgers to win this series. And yet, the Diamondbacks probably the worst team left in the playoffs. So this feels like it broke fairly well for the Dodgers, all things considered. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I think it does set up well for the Dodgers. Although I will say, the schedule did both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks a favor. It's a very odd schedule for a playoff series. Game on Saturday, day off Sunday to avoid the NFL. Day on Monday, day off Tuesday. And then again, you look at, even if it goes 5, there's another built-in day off after the 2 Arizona games. So, they basically, these are 2 teams that really have a 3-man rotation. And guess what? You can get by with a 3-man rotation, no problem.
With normal rest.
You get and that's one of the big advantages the Diamondbacks got, is that by not going 3, Merrill Kelly gets to start game 1 of the series. I think that's getting Brandon Pfaadt to get the first game of the game against the Brewers, and then rally against the Milwaukee bullpen a little bit there. Win that game 1 meant everything to them. It sets everything up for a perfect clash for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into some of these pitching matchups. Game 1, you mentioned Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks. Clayton Kershaw, of course, pitching for the Dodgers. We know the stat. Merrill Kelly is 0-1 against the Dodgers in his career. And even as you look at this season, as good of a pitcher as he is, the Dodgers, just for whatever reason, see him well. He faced the Dodgers 3 times, twice in the first half. He faced them in March, 3 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. From there, it was all downhill. A week later, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. And then August 29th, this line, 5 innings, 12 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. For total, in 14 1/3 innings against the Dodgers, Kelly allowed 21 hits and 11 walks while just striking out 9. On the flip side, Clayton Kershaw against the Diamondbacks had some success. 3 appearances for him. The one that's probably most significant is the most recent, given the state of his health. August 29th, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts again. So that was Kelly versus Kershaw. One guy gave up 1 earned. The other guy gave up 7. Give me your perspective on this matchup. Should the Dodgers feel confident given how well they've seen Merrill Kelly, or do you think he finds a way to kind of write a new story for himself in this series?
I think they should feel fairly confident, although I know Dodger fans like to see monsters under the bed. I get it. They have their playoff scars, and certainly Kershaw has had his playoff scars. So there's that. I think the big question is, can Kershaw give them 5? Because he's not going to give you much more than that. But can he give you 5 strong innings, and can they build a lead off of that? Can they get to Kelly early so they can kind of ease the tension a little bit there? if this is a tight game, 6-6 in this tied in the 6 or something of that nature, the tension level is going to rise for sure.
Yeah, and that's one advantage that we'll talk about throughout the series is the bullpen. The Diamondbacks bullpen is below average. The Dodgers bullpen has been the best in baseball for the last 2.5 months, and I don't know if it's an advance, like if that number improves when you consider that many of us think that Emmett Sheehan could be the first guy out of the pen after Kershaw for 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 innings, depending on how well he performs, and so that could be something to keep an eye on. Game 2, we've got Bobby Miller for the Dodgers, Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks. Again, Gallen struggled against the Dodgers this season. Yep. March 30th, way at the beginning of the year, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. And then again, August 28th, 5 1/3, 9 hits, 6 earned, 4 homers, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So again, 21 base runners allowed in just 10 innings with 11 earned runs for Gallen against the Dodgers. Bobby Miller on the other side. These guys all matched up with each other a month and a half ago. It was Miller versus Gallen on August 28th, 6 innings, 4 earned for Bobby Miller. A few weeks prior, he went 6 shutout innings against the Diamondbacks. So give me your Miller versus Gallen thoughts. Because again, Kershaw versus Kelly is probably game 1 and game 4. Miller versus Gallen would be game 2 and potentially game 5 as well.
Yeah, that's right. And Miller has been the rock. He's been the guy eating the innings for the Dodgers more than anybody else. Yeah. You love to see that there. And he's matured in his approach. He's changed, he's not all, fastball only guy now, which you like to see. Usually, rookies take a while to get there. But he's adapted pretty well. I think you've got a team calling the plan here. So it works out pretty well. So yeah, you got to like that. The Diamondback speed is a thing. They're going to try to, if they get runners on base, they're going to try to agitate. They're going to run a lot. Corbin Carroll gets on, does his thing. Alec Thomas gets on. The Diamondbacks outfield defense is elite. That's one thing I'd look for a little bit there. Maybe that aids Gallen a little bit because you're right. Gallen hasn't been at the top of his game. He had a rough September, generally speaking. Probably lost the Cy Young because of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. The stolen base thing is interesting, and I'm curious because I know, when we talk prop bets, you love stolen base prop bets, which I appreciate because it's like one of those categories I never go to look for. So I was looking up the numbers. The Diamondbacks, 86.5% success rate all season, second most stolen bases in the majors. They were 14 of 15 against the Dodgers. The one interesting note to me was, we know, like, the first week of the season, the Dodgers played the Diamondbacks 8 of the first 10 games this season. Nobody really knew what to do with the stolen base thing, except for the Diamondbacks. They were running absolutely wild on the Dodgers in those 8 games. They played 5 times post All-Star break, and the Diamondbacks only attempted a steal in 2 of those 5 games. They were 2 for 3. So I don't know. I do think the Dodgers got better at holding runners as the year went on. I think Noah Syndergaard, who was obviously the worst guy they had when it came to that metric, probably got destroyed in those first couple series against the Diamondbacks. I would say Kershaw, the lefty, who knows how to hold guys on in game 1, Bobby Miller, who throws 101 miles an hour, game 2. Like, that's probably your best case scenario as far as trying to keep runners at bay. Will Smith is at least average, maybe slightly above average when it comes to pop time and arm strength and that kind of thing. So I'm with you. Stolen bases will be a huge storyline in this one. I'll be just curious to see how that plays out. And if there is something to the Dodgers finding something against the Diamondbacks in the second half of the season, or if it was just random.
Right. And, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. But I think that is noteworthy. I mean, a lot of things, the Dodgers adjusted in a lot of ways at the break, right? The bullpen was considered a problem at one point in time. Now it's a strength.
They were. Yep, absolutely. Well, let's get to some betting stuff real quick. Dodgers minus 205 to win the series, Jeff. Zips has them at 62.4% chance to win. Look, I don't really mess around with numbers that begin with a minus and a 2 at the beginning of it. That's a little too rich for my blood, but for people out there, let me throw a couple of my some other numbers at you, and then I'll share some best bets. You tell me if you like any of these. If you think the Dodgers are going to win in 4 or 5 games, you can get either of those exact predictions at plus 320. So even if you think it's going to be 4 or 5, you could bet the minus. You could get plus 320 on both of those and kind of hedge a little bit. The Dodgers, if you want them to win game 1 and the series, it's even money. So that's an interesting line. Dodgers, you could do some series props. Over 20.5 runs scored is even money for the Dodgers. You're kind of betting on how many games you think the series is going to go. But
Sure.
if that goes four games, that's just over 5 runs a game, which doesn't seem inconceivable. And then here's my crazy one, Jeff. If you want the Dodgers in 4 and you think they're going to lose game 3, you can get that for plus 950. So if you want to get real creative,
That's
they win
very
game 1 and 2 at
specific.
home.
Yeah.
They lose game 3 in Arizona, and then they win it in game 4 plus 950. Those are some series numbers. Any of those that are interesting to you?
That last one is like a serious no confidence bet on Lance Lynn. I think that's
100%.
pretty funny. Uh, I like the over total runs bet. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You're counting on it. Like you said, you're counting it going in at least 4, or the Dodgers going off.
Yeah.
These are both possibilities. I mean,
It's true.
they could score 15 runs in 2 games.
Yeah.
Would that surprise anyone?
No.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. But uh, interesting that these are 2 ballparks that are not hitter friendly,
Yeah.
but the Dodger Stadium less extreme than it's been in previous years, but in part because we've had such hot weather. And by the way, we have hot weather right now. It
Yep.
is really hot here in LA. So the ball is going to fly this weekend. That's something
Yeah.
to keep an eye on there. So I like a lot of the plus run props.
Okay. A couple other things just on game 1. Some props that you could go out there. Merrill Kelly under 5.5 strikeouts is minus 150. Again, that's a big number, minus 150. He hasn't had more than 4 at any point against the Dodgers. So if you think A, the leash is tighter, B, he struggled against the Dodgers and he hasn't even gotten to 5, let alone 6 at any point, that's an interesting number. You could go Merrill Kelly over 2.5 earned runs, minus 105. Dodgers over 4.5 runs, minus 105. A little same game parlay, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, who's kind of my X factor, to all get a hit. That's plus 160. And then Kershaw under 15.5 outs. This is one of my favorite bets of the week. Under 15.5 outs is only minus 110. I just don't see him going more than 5 innings in this game because they would want to be able to bring him back on normal rest
Right.
for game 4, because they've got a fully rested bullpen, because of some of the platoon splits that the Diamondbacks have. So those are my 2 favorite. Kelly under 5.5 strikeouts, minus 150, and then Kershaw under 15.5 outs, minus 110.
Yeah, I especially like the K prop because Chris Taylor's probably not going to be in the lineup. Sorry to pick on him. I can't help it. Sorry.
All right.
But he's coming back from the knee, so we'll see if he's even on the playoff roster. So we'll see about that. But he almost certainly won't be starting that game. So yeah, I think these are both very smart plays. Because for the reasons you allude on Kershaw, and you just look at the track record, he's gotten 16 outs like once in his last 5 starts. So
Yeah.
seems like that's a pretty solid bet. And you're not playing a heavy price, like you said earlier about the series price minus 205. I mean, yeah, I just don't really feel like there's a whole lot of value there. If you want to make any sort of real money, you have to lay out a lot. And
Yeah.
I'd rather not do that.
Or emotionally hedge and just bet big on the Diamondbacks. And then if the Dodgers win, you're happy. And if the Dodgers lose, at least you've made some money. That's an option as well. We've got a live preview that we're doing on our channel tonight at 9:00. So if YouTube folks, Facebook folks, make sure to set your calendars to join us for that tonight. But Jeff, because you will not be on with us tonight, I'd love to get maybe a prediction from you. Dodgers, Diamondbacks, game number. Have you thought this one through at all?
What are the Dodgers sweep odds?
That's a great question. I'll look that up.
Because I could see a sweep.
Okay.
I think it's plausible. And the Diamondbacks have just as many 3rd starter issues as the Dodgers do, if not more. They certainly don't have a 4th starter. So that if you get to Kelly, they get to Gallen, I think it could spell a lot of trouble. And that's the thing. And by the way, one thing I'd like to point out on RotoWire that we have, if you're playing in a postseason contest like the NFBC's postseason Hold'em contest, we have a set of rankings for you there. You can check that out. So you guys can check that out at rotowire.com. I'll say Dodgers in 3.
Well, hey, Jeff, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you joining us as always. Hopefully this isn't the Dodgers' last series and we can have you on for another series preview sometime next week. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate you. As again, 9 p.m. tonight, we'll be doing a live Dodgers NLDS preview. Matt, myself, and Blake as well. You can subscribe, ring the notification bell here. You can find Jeff at Jeff_Erickson on Twitter. And again, like he said, check out RotoWire for all of your playoff backstory needs as you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And as always, go Dodgers.